the RS latch active high. Okay, what that means is that if my input changes, in other words going up or the leading edge, that is when my output will change as well. Okay, sorry, those are in line, whereas with the active low, the output will trigger when the output changes to a 0. Now the RS active high operates on the following. We've got reset and set. They both go into NOR gates. And then we've got Q and not Q on the output. The output for not Q feeds into the R input, and the Q feeds into the S input. Symbol SR goes in, and we get Q and not Q out. It's important that set goes into the not Q's NOR. The operation works as follows. SR 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1 leading to Q and not Q. Okay, same as with the active low, set and reset will determine the value of Q and not Q. Now Q and S must be equal for my active high, which means Q there will be 1 and there will be 0. Now the 1 1 state is illegal, so we do not use that one. That is my reset. That is my set. And then my 0 0 input will be my hold state. In other words, whatever set and resets value, whatever Q and not Q's value was, it'll stay that from the previous stage. Remember, these are sequential logic. In other words, we need to look at what was the output before we can calculate the new output from the new input values. Now, let us accept we're putting this on, and we're putting it in a 0 there and a 1 there. Now remember, these are NOR gates, and as NOR gates, if I've got a 1 on the input, my output is going to turn to 0. That 0 feeds in there. 2 zeros into my NOR gives me a 1 over there. So we see set is 0, Q is 0, R is 1, not Q is 1. When I change both of these two zeros, when I change these two to zeros, that 0 still feeds in there, and that 1 still feeds in there. So a 0 and a 0 or a 1 on my input will keep that one a 0, and 2 zeros on this input will give me a 1. That's my hold state over there, and this was my set state over there. When I change my inputs to 0 there and a 1 there, that 1 still feeds back there, that 0 still feeds back there, so this 1 and that 0 will turn that into a 0, and that 1 with that 0 will turn this one into a 1. That is my reset state. And finally, if we get a situation where we've got both on 1, that 1 feeds in there, that 1 feeds in there, that 1 feeds in there, and that 0 feeds in there. So that 0 and that 1 will then give me a 0 over there, and that 1 and 1 there will give me a 0 over there. As we can see, those two are illegal, so our inputs are causing an illegal state, which means we are not allowed to use that state. That's the active latch, active high RS latching circuit. The problem with the RS latch is that the moment the input changes, the output will change as well. And as a result, we can have the possibility where we've got R and S as the same value, and that could either allow the hold, which is acceptable, or it can cause the illegal state, which is not acceptable. So in order to overcome the problem of the in order to overcome the problem of the same scenarios, we need to control when the switching occurs. So that's why we introduce the clocked RS latch. Okay. Now with a clocked RS latch, it could either clock on the positive or the it can either clock on the leading or the lagging edge. Now, if this is my clock, it can either pulse on the leading or it can pulse on the lagging edge of the clock pulse. All my clocking happens on the rising edge unless my symbol looks as follows. So for a rising edge, my clock input will be indicated like that. See, okay. And for my falling edge, it will be indicated as that. That indicates my clock, which says it falls on the lagging edge. Now, in order for that to occur, what we do is our clock input, we feed through a NAND, which then feeds back into itself like that. Now, for a short period of time, this value over there and that input there will be equal, and that allows for the signal to go through, and it will cause the lagging trigger. Otherwise, it will focus on the leading edge. The description of the circuit works as follows. And second NAND, and both of these feed in from CLK, or the clock pulse. It's my RNS inputs that feeds into my NAND over there, that feeds into my NAND over there, and this one is equal to Q and not Q. That pulse or that output feeds back into that input, and this output feeds into that input over there. S and R. Now remember, S and R, or S must equal Q. So reset inputs 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1. This is my clock. If it's ones versus when it is zeros. When zeros, this whole system stops working because the inputs are disabled. Let's look at Q versus not Q. Remember, S and Q must be the same. When inputs are different, so it's a 0, that's a 1, which makes that a 1 and a 0. This is my set. and that's my, sorry, this is my reset, and this is my set. Okay, hold, Q and not Q are my inputs. Now looking at this, let us set our output. So set, I'm going to do in that color, so that becomes a 1, that becomes a 0. The moment I get a positive edge, that becomes a 1 and that becomes a 1. Now as these are NANDs, whenever there is a 0 on the input, the output becomes 1. There's 2 1s on the input, so that becomes a 0. So that 0 feeds in there, and as a NAND, because I've got a 0 on the input, that Q becomes 1. So we see Q is equal to S. That 1 feeds back in there, and 1 and 1 on the inputs gives me a 0 there. So we see I, not Q. And I remove the clock pulse. What we see is, now I've got 0 and 0 there, which makes both of them 1. But that 0 plus that 1 will give that as a constant 1. So it's now in the old state when my pulse is removed. When I physically want to activate the hold, I put 0 on that input and 0 on that input. Because I've got zeros on those inputs, when I introduce my next clock pulse on the rising edge, I get a 1 there and 1 there. Those 2 1s, that 1 with that 0 will now cause a 1 on the output over there, and that 1 and that 0 will cause a 1 on the output there. That 0 and that 1 will cause a 1 on the output there, and that 1 and that 1 will cause a 0 on the output there. So we can see by putting 2 zeros over there, I'm forcing a hold scenario whereby Q stays what it was and not Q stays where it was. Third scenario, when I go into the reset state, for that to occur, S has to become 0 and R has to become a 1. These 2 1s causes this to become a 0. This 0 and this 1 causes this to become a 1. That 1 and that 0 causes this to be a 0. And that 0 and this 0 causes this one to be a 1, forcing Q or S to be equal to Q and R to be equal to not Q, which is my reset state over there. And then finally, if I go into a 1-1 scenario, this one plus this clock pulse is 1, gives me a 0 there. This 1 and that clock pulse is 1, gives me a 0 there. Now this 0 and this 0 causes that 0, oh no, sorry, this 0 causes a 1 output over there, and this 0 causes a 1 on the output there. Again, these two are equal, which means this is illegal, which means I'm